DORK Podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK Podcast. Ryan Davis. It's the DORK Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe. Joining me this time, not Davey Eyeballs, not the King of Ginger Ale. It is Goo from the Mac and Goo podcast. Goo, how are you?
I am having a rough Monday, Keefe. I went ahead and popped this nice, amazing fantasy Spider-Man shirt on, and while on my way to work / into work, I realized that the back of my shirt is too short, and I was constantly pulling my shirt down to hide, not a tramp stamp, but still a little bit of skin leading to my jeans the entire day.
Ooh, so that is an oddly built shirt. If it's not short in the front, only short in the back?
It's semi-short in the front, but it's too short in the back. Like it's a weird curvature around the edges, and I assume that my wash did this.
Must have been a wash situation. Did you think about hiking up the briefs a little bit?
My pants are about as high as they can possibly go.
Yeah.
So the shirt really was the issue.
Got it. All right. Fair enough. But right now, watching this on YouTube, looks like $1 million. Looks like a great shirt. Can't tell.
As long as you are cutting me off here at the chest, I'm all set.
No, we'll keep this angle for the whole episode.
Thank you.
Looks pretty good. For those wondering, Davey Eyeballs is in the midst of another move. So he did not see the film this weekend, and he was not available the first couple of nights of this week. So we said, we cannot wait, sir. So we will get to you, and we'll get your thoughts on the topic du jour at a later date. I am sporting a really shitty mustache. Another reason to go to the YouTube. Just to remind everybody, you still have a couple of weeks to donate to Davey's Movember page. Just go to his Twitter at RVonD. I just donated right before we jumped on the episode. Mac and Go, I know you guys did as well. Of course. So you can go do that. Very simple. Even $1 helps. Whatever you can do, or even just retweet Davey's tweet to get other people going there. So at RVonD on Twitter, and you can donate to his Movember page. Goo, let's jump into the news.
This week in DORK. Yeah.
Well, this is not how we want to start, but bad day, sad day, as Kevin Conroy, the legendary voice of Batman from both the Batman the animated series as well as the Arkham video game series, passed away since our last episode. Go, I know you're a massive fan as well, and what a loss, and what a voice that this guy had.
Yeah, I generally do not care when celebrities die.
Yep.
When I heard this on Friday, kind of a gut punch. He's been Batman for 3 decades, and this is my childhood Batman. You mentioned the animated series, Arkham games, which, by the way, he brought a whole new gravity to those games, lending his voice along with Mark Hamill. And then Mask of the Phantasm, sneaky one of the best Batman movies.
There's no doubt. Yeah, and it's almost I don't know if it's ironic or not that it's that Kevin Conroy, we're talking about Kevin Conroy's death on the same episode that we're doing a Black Panther death because or a Black Panther review, because Chadwick Boseman's death was one that I know we did an episode on just alone. That was another one that I'm with you. Normally celebrity deaths, you're like, oh, that's sad, but I don't know, I didn't know the person, so you just kind of move on with your life. But both of these were pretty bad. Boseman just devastating to everybody, and Kevin Conroy only 66. Was that
only
right?
66? Yeah. It was sudden. It was a short battle with cancer.
Yeah, so real sad. And I'll tell you, the Arkham video games are some of my favorite games of all time, and it is his voice. If it was somebody else's voice, it might have been distracting, or it might not have been as good. Like, it felt like you were really in that.
Well, Arkham Origins was someone else doing a Kevin Conroy impression, pretty much.
Trying, and also the worst game of the series.
Yeah,
there's just something about his narration during that game, like walking you through stuff, was just so good. So yeah, that's a loss, because then also just selfishly you're thinking, oh, there's other stuff that he could do. Like, there's more animated movies, there's more video games, like something down the line that you'd have him. And obviously a devastating loss.
And then Keefe, if you are tardy to the BTAS party, and if your listeners out there, if you want some episode suggestions specifically for him, because there are great episodes for other characters, but for Conroy, Over the Edge, which I recommend for every episode. That is the one where Batgirl thrown over the edge of a cliff or over the edge of a building onto her father's police cruiser, and then he's hunting down Batman the entire episode. Perchance to Dream is when he is in his own dream. He's not Batman. He's happily married to Selena Kyle. His parents are alive. So it's kind of one of those scenarios there. Beware the Gray Ghost is an awesome episode where you learn that Batman is pretty much he's focused how he is Batman based off of a noir that he used to watch, The Gray Ghost, and The Gray Ghost is voiced by Adam West. So
Awesome.
this weird joy that Conroy brings to that episode is great. And then finally, Nothing to Fear, which has the iconic I am vengeance, I am the night.
Yeah, awesome. So many, and like 1,000. What was it, season 1? Like 50 something episodes.
Season 1, I think, is 60 something episodes, and then it's like 15 after that.
Yeah. But just obviously great for a rewatch at any time, especially now. Also on the same day, last week, we lost the great Gallagher, comedian Gallagher, who would smash pumpkins with a sledgehammer, or watermelons with a sledgehammer. Pumpkins would have been good too, but watermelons. And he stopped doing his act at one point, and then his brother went on tour, also as Gallagher, and did the same bit. And it might have even been brought into the mainstream even more when Chappelle on the Chappelle Show did Black Gallagher, which was also hilarious.
I was going to say, first off, I didn't know that he did actual jokes. I thought he just smashed watermelons, and then someone explained to me, no, he was a stand-up too. I love the parodies of him more than himself. I love the Black Gallagher. And then also on SNL, Andy Samberg played Reverse Gallagher, where he smashed a hammer with a watermelon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So good. But like, that's one of those things where it's just so over the top, but it's also so memorable. Like there are millions of stand-ups, and yet Gallagher is somebody that like everybody knows. Like he's the first guy who's like,
actually, I will also say this. I don't think I've ever shared this on the air on Mac and Goo. But while my wife was pregnant, she asked me, do you want to do a gender reveal? I said, the only way that I'll do this is if your cousin, who is, the godmother, if she tampers with the inside of a watermelon to either make it pink or blue, and I'm going to smash it with a mustache and a stupid hat on, much like Gallagher. And she had no idea what I was talking about. So we just didn't do it.
Oh, that ended up not happening. Would you go to a Gallagher show? No, not now, because unfortunately he's passed.
Well, I would go now.
It'd be crazy if you went now. I wonder if Gallagher's brother's still with us. I didn't do enough legwork on this.
If I'm Gallagher's brother, I'm absolutely touring now. Now is the time to do it.
Do you treat it like, is it kind of like Blue Man Group, where if you're in the front row, you got to wear like a smock or like goggles? Yeah.
Ready to go.
And like part of it too is like, as you're there, you're like, yeah, he's working through like his like tight 15, and then you're like, where's the watermelons? Where are the watermelons?
Actually, I think there was a Instagram account on Friday, and I don't even think this was linked, but it was from Figure It Out on Nickelodeon, where the kid's talent was that he could eat 11 watermelons.
That's insane. I love watermelon, but 11 watermelons and you're gonna drown yourself. Watermelon
died or nothing.
It's one of the best foods in the world. So
that's
I don't
a
know
top tier fruit. Absolutely. We tiered fruits a while ago. I had it on the top. I think Max said that it's too watery, but Max and
actually it's a berry. Did you know that?
I did. Yes, it's a very large berry.
Watermelon's a berry, which blew my mind when I heard that. Also blowing my mind, Atlanta season 4. This was the final season of Atlanta. Also, the first time I can remember a TV show having 2 separate seasons in the same calendar year.
After not being on for 3 years.
They did season 1 and season 2, which were great. Took forever. Season 3, which is very up and down. We talked about it on the podcast before, but the main cast was only in half the episodes. They try to do these weird other episodes, which to me were more missed than hit. And then like a few months go by, and then they put out 10 more episodes. Their final 10 episodes, season 4, which I thought was amazing. Like I thought it was some of the best stuff of the year, and some of the best stuff of what is already a very, very good show.
Yeah, so I was talking to Doc on News Dump, and I said to him, because he's tardy to the party, he has not seen the show. He's like, if I start it right now, like, how should I watch? I'm like, you watch 1 and 2 full, and then you can either pick and choose episodes in season 3. You can also just skip season 3.
I would probably skip it.
Because the episodes that they're actually in, they're, 5 out of the 10 is the actual cast. But without the backdrop of Atlanta, which I think might be one of the better characters on the show, is the city of Atlanta, the town. I don't know what Atlanta is, but those characters in Atlanta, that's where it's at. And then the final season, like you said, I loved that final season. And the series finale, I thought was great.
Incredible. A real thinker, as it would be. It's a very smart show for a smart audience, but some of the Paperboy stuff in the final couple of episodes just had me dying. Like there are some great lines in there.
Because I also think that people assume that you watch it and Glover is the star of the show, and Glover is very good in it.
It's good.
Paperboy, Brian Tyree Henry,
Awesome.
is I think the standout of the show. And Lakeith Stanfield, the first 2 seasons maybe, but for the full 4, it was Paperboy.
Paperboy, I think it's Paperboy show, and you're right. Donald Glover's very good in it. Zazie Beetz. So this is the first thing she was in, and then she's obviously been really good in Deadpool and Joker and whatever else she's been in. But yeah, I like the show, and I also like that they got in, did 4 seasons, and getting out. I'm like, all right,
yeah, and also credit to the show too. You felt at any point during the show that any of the main characters might die.
Yeah, there's a possibility. Like you don't know which direction they're gonna go.
No, I don't know what's gonna happen right now.
They can do anything. Yeah, that show for sure could do anything. And then I don't want to get into it now, but the finale, like you said, we could do a whole episode just on that, what it means, what really happened, everything else. But
the uneasy ending of it, where if it went either of the 2 paths, I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, like
very Inception like.
I could have gone either way, would have been happy with it. One of our things that we want to do at some point is like a top 100 TV shows of all time with the Dork Shared Universe, and Atlanta is definitely in the top 50 of all time.
I think it would be in my top 50.
Yeah, I think it would be too. Now
I think even last decade or so, that's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, and this year is insane. Like when we do the Dorkies just for the 2022 shows, narrowing it down to 6 is going to be impossible because this season was great, but there's been a lot of really good shows. A horror movie is going to be streaming on Paramount Plus starting tomorrow, November 15th. Smile. I've heard good things about Smile.
Same.
Have not watched the movie yet, but I will. It's been a pretty good year for horror movies. Some people seem to really like this one. Looks creepy as hell. Just creepy people smiling. So that's going to be good. And Dave Chappelle hosted SNL over the weekend. Goo, I know you're an SNL guy like myself.
Yep.
I did not watch the whole episode. I watched his 15-minute monologue, and then I watched the potato hole sketch because my wife told me to watch that one because it was good. Haven't gone back and watched the rest of it yet. How much, if any of it, have you seen?
I have watched the full thing. My issue with the episode, first off, is it is a 7-minute open with the stupid Fox and Friends thing. They always miss the mark on those. And then, look, I love Dave Chappelle as a stand-up, but you can watch him do stand-up anywhere. I didn't want a 15-minute monologue. I want to see him do sketches. I love Chappelle's show. Right. I want to watch him do sketches. And there's maybe 4 sketches in the episode because you spent so much time doing that.
That was a long time. It was 15 minutes. Some good stuff. Talking about Kanye.
It's some good stuff, but you can go on 100 other platforms and watch him do stand-up.
Yeah, you can come on the Dork podcast anytime.
He can come on the Dork podcast and do stand-up if he wants.
But he's probably not gonna. But that'd be good. Yeah, I wanted to see that. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I get your point. Like probably more sketches. You're Dave Chappelle.
Just let him do his sketches. Chappelle's show, one of the best sketch comedy shows of all time. He only does sketches once every, is it 2 or 4 years when he goes on SNL after the primaries and after the elections and stuff. Yeah. So do sketches.
Is any thoughts on the new cast, or do you have any semblance of it yet? Have you watched enough of these?
Yeah. One of the girls that stood out to me last episode, it was in one of those please don't destroy things or please destroy after watching. One of those kind of digital shorts. Okay. I can't think of her name, but she reminds me of an early Melissa McCarthy before she got too big.
Oh, okay.
And actually kind of funny.
We'll see.
I can't think of anyone else new, though.
There's definitely a bunch of people I don't really recognize because the last couple of years for me, it's been more like I'll watch a few things on YouTube or Twitter. I haven't watched the whole hour and a half like I used to. There was a stretch there where I didn't miss a sketch, but been a little bit.
I'm also super confused. Just very sorry that I thought that Cecily Strong left after last season.
She's there.
And then she wasn't in the first 2 episodes of this year, but now she's back.
She's doing that commercial with Julian Edelman. She's in that one.
I know, but she's been in every episode since, like the past 4. And Job Shattuck said 80 Bryant. No, 80 Bryant left after last year. They filled in with another heavier white lady.
A type. Well, you know what's interesting? I listened to the Dana Carvey, David Spade podcast.
That's a good pod, yeah.
On the Wall. Yeah, I like it a lot. And they had Nick Kroll on a while ago, and he actually nailed it because like he tried out for SNL, didn't get it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't even that bummed out about it. And he's like, yeah, the time I tried out, he's like, they had every version of me. He's like, they had Sudeikis, they had Fred Armisen, they had Will Forte, they had Sandberg, they had Hader. He's like, what would I have done? And you're like,
yeah.
never thought of it that way. Like they clearly look for like types. And there are certain years where they're like, we kind of got you. Like, as good as you are, some of the guys that tried out and failed, it's like, well, you got to look at who else is already on the team, basically.
And also credit to Spade, specifically on that show. And like, he's always on talk shows and stuff, but he's so effortlessly good in conversation. And you realize this when like Dana Carvey goes and does something, he's kind of awkward. Yeah. He's always stepping on people.
Dana Carvey's great still with like the impressions, and like he makes you laugh, I feel like, more than Spade, but he is much worse at interviewing because he ends up just sort of like answering his own question.
Yes.
I mean, he even admits it. He's like, yeah, we don't really know what we're doing. Like, Spade can actually carry the interview if he needs to.
Molly Kearney is her name.
Oh, Molly Kearney. All right, very good. All right,
yeah.
somebody watch for her. All right, that's it for the news. We have a jam-packed topic du jour. So let me ask you,
y'all ready for bisque?
You ready for the topic du jour?
What's that?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's the topic of the day. And today it is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the 30th movie in the MCU. It
37th.
is 30th.
37th, right?
30th.
No, property. My bad.
30th.
I'm going to let you finish.
Let me start over. It is the topic of the day. And today, it is the 30th MCU film. I know you include TV shows. I don't. This is the 30th film. It's the end of phase 4. It was a 2-hour and 41-minute film. Currently on Roddy T's, 84% by the critics, 95% by the audience. We'll begin spoiler-free, as we always do with our TV and movie reviews. Goo, did you like it?
Hey, Keefe, more like mid-she-you, am I right?
Did you not like it?
No, I did, actually.
Okay.
I thought it was good. Yeah, no, I thought it was good.
I enjoyed it.
I wasn't blown away by it.
Your socks
did like it.
Your socks didn't get knocked off?
My shoes are off. My socks were on.
All right. Okay. How were your nips?
My nips, one was perked out, but that's separate issue.
That's kind of like a normal thing.
Medical thing.
Once the season turns to fall. What?
I think the big issue here with the movie, and a lot of it's very, very good. The arc of the movie is very good. The characters in the movie is very good. The acting in this movie is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
But the issue is it's too long. And the pacing, not great.
It did feel like some of these MCU movies like that are 240, 3 hours, like they don't feel it at all, and they're rewatchable. This one did have a little bit of like, you couldn't have maybe trimmed 20,
especially in the second act.
Yeah,
real clunky.
Yeah, a little bit it was. I think the big question was, how are they going to do a Black Panther movie without Black Panther? Like, no Chadwick Boseman. We've been asking this question now, sadly, for a little while, and obviously there's some stuff in the comic books that they could do. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, that kind of thing. But overall, knowing that when they originally made Black Panther and then they were greenlit for a Black Panther 2, this was not going to be a part of it. Like, how do you think they handled that whole aspect of it?
So I actually do like how they handled the loss of Chadwick Boseman, the loss of T'Challa. It had to be off screen. And to make this a burden on Shuri throughout the entire movie, who's lost her father, lost him, definitely adds to the character. And that, I mean, without him is something that you did need to get this movie going.
It's just, to me, really like bizarre. I'm trying to think of other movies that have had sequels where they have to deal with a real life death and then apply it to a character death and not do it in like a really weird way. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard
without recasting, pretty much.
Yeah, you like without recasting, but then also not, I don't know, like making it super like awkward or uncomfortable or whatever. But like you got to play to the emotion. But then you're like, as you're watching, like, is this the character death that they're upset about, or like the real life person death they're upset about, or both? And then you got to like act. And like for these actors, like I'm thinking about them going through these scenes, being like, we're acting out a scene about a guy, like about a character who's dead, but we know in our minds that the person's dead. Like, it's got to be just a bizarre situation for them to be in.
Also, credit to them too. Everyone's mentioning, well, they did it without Boseman, but this movie also, from the original one, doesn't have either of its two main stars. So the other movie was reliant not only on Boseman, but also Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, and you're moving on from that. And then, so to me, I think they pulled it off. I think they did a good job. I thought the story was well done. Like you said, was there time that you could have trimmed out? Sure. But I think the story and sort of, what the motivations for the characters were for the ones that we've already met, and then all the characters that are new to it.
Yeah.
I thought you really couldn't have done a much better job than that.
And I also love too that the characters in this movie don't forget what happened in the first movie. And they bring up things that happened in the first movie that still bothers them. And that leads to one of my favorite scenes from the entire thing.
Oh, okay. Very good. We'll get to that in spoilers.
Yeah.
The action I thought was good. There's definitely enough fight scenes. Like the Wakandans have a style about them in their fight scenes. The characters that we get introduced to from Under the Sea, that crew, like they have a fight style. So I thought that was good. MCU movies, at least most of them, are kind of known for some of their comedy. Did you think the comedy was any good?
So I thought Riri Williams added some levity to it, but beyond that, not a really funny movie. And just very quickly on the action,
Yeah, sorry.
one thing that this movie does do better than the first one is that its final fight scene, clear as day because it's in the daylight.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah,
They're not in an empty train tunnel.
Yeah, there was a couple of scenes that were a little tough to see because, like, some of the under the water stuff was pretty dark, but some of those.
I was actually kind of disappointed by that. I was expecting a more big, grandiose, sea kingdom, but what we got, kind of made sense with like the working class people under the sea. But on the back of that, though, I was really disappointed by Wakanda seems smaller. And it seemed like it wasn't as populated. They didn't focus as much on it. Because in the first movie, that was a big spectacle.
Yeah, it's interesting that the name of this movie is Wakanda Forever, and yet they didn't spend as much time in
it's in the title.
Yeah, they were in Boston, for God's sakes. They spent more time in Boston.
Worcester, technically. They were in Worcester.
They're in Worcester. Yeah. Was there enough connections and like in pushing the story forward, whether it's old references or kind of spinning off stuff for new? Like, I know that's one thing that all MCU fans are always looking for is like, all right, how is this a piece to the rest of the puzzle? Do you think there was enough of that stuff?
So there's Riri, and there's something that Namor makes reference to. But beyond that, not a ton. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with these movies being more self-contained.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And like you said too, there's also the follow-up to the first one, which I think these movies, when they're in this MCU, or they serve less as a sequel to their first one as more as the next one in whatever phase they're in. Like Doctor Strange 2. Did that have a ton to do with Doctor Strange 1? Like, no, because so much happened in between. Whereas this, they acknowledge that the snap happened. They acknowledge that there was like, we've had all those movies since, but clearly it's more of a direct from Black Panther, which I like. I think that was good.
And I think that these two movies might be the only two sequels or movie followed up with or even a trilogy of movies where you can take them out of the MCU and they can stand by themselves.
Yep, no doubt. The villain in this one of the things Davey and I were talking about last week with Black Adam is not a good sign for a comic book movie if you can't name the villain when you leave the film. And this one you can. And then you can also argue whether or not he or she is the villain, like that kind of thing. So I think they kind of nailed that aspect of it.
Yeah, I loved absolutely everything about him. He's one of my favorite anti-heroes, villains, on the side of bad, whatever you want to call him. And I would say that he is just below, say, a Thanos, Killmonger, Vulture.
Yeah.
So, like, if you want to argue him on the Mount Rushmore as that fourth one, say if you're arguing him against Loki or the Winter Soldier, I don't think anyone else really compares to those three possibly getting onto the Mount Rushmore.
I agree. Not to body shame, because I also would like to be toned up a little bit more. I feel like Namor could have been a little more toned up. Look at that.
Well, it's under
Jack
the sea.
Namor? You want Jack Namor?
I think it was good. I mean, if you look at Jason Momoa, who is on the flip side of it, he's a large gentleman.
I like
Maybe
that.
they wanted to, because he's a king. Kings are not always, rippled. They're usually a little bit heavier to show their prosperity.
Good point. Yeah, Louis the 14th was a piece of shit, wasn't he?
He's a real piece of shit.
He's an asshole. Clearly this is a must-see movie, though, Goo.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, this is, even if you don't like the MCU, if you're a big fan of these movies, it's a, connective tissue to it. Yeah, this is a tentpole movie on the year.
Yeah.
I would say that in my, 40 or so movies that I've seen, it's in my top 10.
Yeah.
And, this is outside of the clunkiness of the middle, it's a real crowd pleaser.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. And again, like you said, not a perfect movie, not my favorite movie of the MCU or even of the year, but I still really, really, really liked it. Where do you have this ranked in the MCU? And again, there's 30 films. This just into the
Yes.
news desk. There are 30 films.
Okay, so
Where do you have this bad boy ranked?
So the where I have this ranked, and this is in my ranking of 37 things.
For fuck's sake.
I have it like right around 15, 16, maybe as low as 18, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I have it right around like Love and Thunder, No Way Home, WandaVision. So it's right up there with those Phase 4
Yep.
that aren't quite at the level of Phase 3 or some of those great Phase 2, but it's above some of their more mid-level stuff.
Yeah, to me, just from the films, I think I have it 11. And again, I'm a recency bias guy, so I can this might
Number one. It's the best one ever.
This is the greatest movie I have ever seen in my life. So I liked the first Black Panther better.
Yes.
Did you? You did as well.
I did. Yes. Yeah.
So
I think I have the first Black Panther maybe at 10 or 11.
Okay. I have Black Panther 8 and then Ragnarok at 9 and then Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming at 10. And then I had going into it No Way Home 11. I'd probably slide this one in between the two Spider-Man or Spider-Man 1 and 3, I guess is what it is. But like to your point, I don't think it can be much higher than that. And it probably can't be lower than 17. Like if you're talking just films, it probably like 17. Like of the new movies, I think it's better than Thor Love and Thunder. It's definitely better than Multiverse of Madness. It was better than Shang-Chi. It was better than Black Widow. So at least it was a bit of a rebound. Like you're not going to put it on par with Infinity War, Endgame, Guardians. No. It's not there, but again, that's such a big ask. Those are some of the best movies ever made. So yeah, for me, I think that's there. I'm curious what you guys have for your dork scores as well. If you want to light up the chat with your dork score for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. There is a mid-credit scene. Like again, MCU, we're kind of wired for. But there's a mid-credit scene, so stick around for that. Goo, I know you guys do hot dogs over at Mac and Goo, but here on Dork, we do stones 1 through 6. You can do half stones. What is your score?
So I had a difficult time with this because of math. So I gave it 34 out of 40 hot dogs. That is 85%. I think it's a great B. It's a solid B. It's a really good sequel. I think the first one's like an A-. So it's a step below the first one, but it's a solid movie. But then when converting that into stones,
tough.
The calculator told me 5 out of 6, but that feels like it's too high.
So what we also do here is you can say it's a soft 5 as opposed to a raging hard 5. There's different
scales. I'll say a soft 5.
So I'm a 5.
Maybe a hard 4.5. I don't know.
A throbbing 4.5.
I think throbbing 4.5.
You're going 4.5.
Throbbing though. I
don't know. I get
filled with blood.
It's blood and cum. Yeah. I'm going with a 5, but like you said, like at the end of the year, like the way our scale is set, at the end of the year, there might be 10 movies that are a 5 out of 6, and then within that 10, you can rank them again. So I would say 5, which again, I think the MCU probably has a dozen 5-star movies or 5-stone film. Like, I don't think that's outrageous to say. So probably on the lower end of a 5, but I think 4.5, at least for me, wouldn't do it enough justice. So I'm going 5. Yeah, we're getting some 5.5, 5.5, 6 in the chat as well. So yeah, I think people liked it. Again, probably since The Batman, we haven't had a comic book movie this good, right? Because there was there's like 3 or 4.
That was like 6 months ago. I know that it feels like 3 years ago, The Batman, but that was like 6 months ago.
It does. Yeah. Well, no, was it March? So it was like
March.
It was 8 months ago.
What month are we in right now?
Yeah, we're November.
Movember.
That's right. Donate
to David. Yeah.
They got the little cookie duster right here.
Cookie duster, little soup strainer.
Little push broom. Little fucker.
Dirt squirrel.
Oh, dirt squirrel. So yeah, anything else non-spoiler on Black Panther Wakanda Forever?
If you haven't seen it, I recommend it over Black Adam.
Better than Black Adam, confirmed. Better than Morbius, confirmed.
Yes, it is better than Morbius.
What's the scale? Yeah, there's sneaky been a bunch of comic book movies, right? Because you have Thor, you had Doctor Strange, you had Morbius, you had Black Adam, you had the Batman. Um, Anything else from earlier this year? No,
I mean, but also like Marvel's been cranking out TV shows as well, and this is better than all their TV shows from this year specifically because I might still take Loki over it or like a WandaVision.
true. Was No Way Home this year, or was that 21?
No Way Home was the end of last year.
Oh, it's 21. Yeah, okay. All right. Very good.
Spoilers! 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 Here come the spoilers!
How about right out of the chute, kind of tugging at the emotions, they go with the all Black Panther / Chadwick Boseman title sequence, which was like, oh boy, like yeah, like here we go. I would say the beginning of the movie, like that part, and then Shuri kind of dealing with everything, and then the very end of the movie, we sort of jump around a little bit, like both very much emotional and also a big fuck you to like Martin Scorsese and James Cameron, who are like, they don't know how to tell a story and there's no connection in the Marvel universe. It's like, please, people are crying watching this movie.
Entire movie was a very personal story, not just for him. And by the way, I love the funeral stuff where it's a celebration of life. That always does it for me too. Yep. And then obviously the mid-credit, we'll get to that at the end. But this told a great story of Shuri, coping and coming to grips with it.
Yeah, it ended up really being a Shuri movie in many ways. Like she
loses her mother too.
Yeah. Oh my! And at one point, I thought she was gonna go. I'm like, what?
Okay, so with that, by the way, I think that this movie could have went over the edge of being like something that Marvel's never done before, and would have been a real standout if Shuri died. I think that Shuri should have died at the end.
I thought there was a chance it was gonna happen, and I also didn't know because I know off camera there was the whole like I think she's not vaccinated and
whatever it is, but yeah
whatever it is, right? And then she was like a big proponent of like the vaccines are bad kind of thing, and then didn't she get COVID and like shut down production for a little bit?
There was a bunch of stuff going on there.
It was a mess with her, so I didn't know if that was going to play into the writing.
I thought that with them obviously trying to make at least a trilogy here, that you had two possibilities at the end of the movie, which, by the way, I love the fight scene on the beach. It's bright. You can see exactly what's happening between her and Namor, something that we did not get in the first one.
No.
And I would have loved it if they had killed her. And there was a second there where I thought that she was going to die.
Yeah,
and obviously in the mid-credit, we learned that T'Challa had a son, so there was another heir to Wakanda. So in the third movie, you could have had him getting Wakanda back from Namor. Or say if Shuri does live, but then she goes and she brutally murders Namor. And then obviously she had that discussion with her uncle in the astral plane where, she now has this lust for blood and this lust for domination.
Yes.
Once again, T'Challa had a son. The third movie could be T'Challa taking the throne back from his aunt, a la Lion King Simba Scar. And it writes itself.
But they chose not to do any of that. And
they chose to play it safe and middle it.
Yeah. But again, the fact that they killed Angela Bassett, who, by the way, should get nominated for an Oscar. She was insane. Like she was acting her pants off in this movie. Like she was so emotional, but not like overboard or not like cheesy at all. Like, and she was asked to do a lot of stuff. Again, she's dealing with the loss of her son, and like Wakanda's a mess. They're getting attacked. Next thing you know, Shuri's missing, and it's like there was a shitload that she had to do, and then she dies. I'm like, she should, and because the first Black Panther movie got nominated for Best Picture,
as it should have. It was great.
It should have, and yeah, I have no problem with that. More of these movies should.
Yeah, why not? Who cares?
Angela Bassett as the queen there, I thought was and you mentioned earlier, like they were all good actors in this movie. I thought she was the best one. Like she was crazy in this.
So I would say that Letitia Wright was consistently good throughout the entire movie, but I didn't feel like she stole any scenes. But
no,
if you look at it, Angela Bassett, Lupita Nyong'o, and Denai Guerrera, I thought that all three of them, like any scene that those three were in, absolutely stole it. And much like I mentioned earlier, my favorite scene in the movie is when Ramonda brings up that Okoye turned her back on her at the end of the first movie and protected Killmonger. And even though she turned her back on Killmonger and then went and took her husband down, and she's like, I didn't forget that you turned your back on me and you cast me out. And then she stripped her of her title. And, that was my favorite scene.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
That was pretty nuts because how important all this shit is to Okoye. Really, this thing is
It's her life.
Yeah, this is 100%.
She turned in her husband. Her husband's in jail right now.
Yeah,
because she said, "No, I am for the kingdom."
Yeah, crazy. And like we've gotten to know her a little bit. I feel like out of all these movies, and she's one of the best fighters that there is in the world. And also, Lupita Nyong'o, I thought was a great character. She was my choice when we were guessing on who should be the next Black Panther. And they went again. Shuri was kind of the obvious pick. They did it in the comics. It was sort of set up for that, and that's fine. Like I don't have a big problem with it. But I kind of thought Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia would be really, really good. She proved up just how badass she is in this. When she infiltrates in, she goes deep into the water and is like, "I'm getting Shuri back," and does it. And basically started a war because she killed one of the fish people. But she proved how badass she was. Do you think, as we hop around a little bit, do you think it's cheesy at all that all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, I have a son," and he's like, he's like, I don't know, 6 years old. Like, I didn't tell anybody, but like, I have a son. You look at that as like, all right, good. Like, that's the heir. That's the next Black Panther. Or do you look at it as like, all right, that's kind of.
So two things, sir. Number one, she would have looked great in the Black Panther suit. Let's just go ahead and toss that out there.
Yep.
Job Shattuck is saying no, her butt would be too big. I don't think so.
Oh, shut up, dude.
I'd say it fit like a glove.
Yes, agreed.
The glove don't fit. I will not quit. But no, because Keefe, they probably had it or maybe he was conceived just before Blip. 5 years go by, she's still alive. Child comes out. T'Challa gets to see him for a year or so, but the kid's already 6 years old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
Explains itself.
The blip. No, I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, but I'm just wondering if that's like, I don't know, like it's like when a TV show adds a character and they're like, "Hey, look at this, we got a kid now." It's like,
okay, well, that's what all of these Marvel movies have done. This is Marvel babies now.
They're
all babies now.
Are you in for Marvel movies in 20 years when it's just kids of the former Avengers? Are you okay with that? Because that's what we're on pace for.
I'm going to have to be because I got to keep this podcast going. Come on.
That's how I heat my house is this podcast. It's not.
This house, it runs on hot podcast takes.
Not, but it's freezing in here. Namor.
Yes.
So we knew it was going to be Namor. And I think it's very fitting that he's the first mutant in the MCU, considering he was also the first mutant ever. And I think it's a good origin story. I think it's a good, like they show his powers. I haven't talked about this a lot. I'm a sucker for underwater stuff. I love the sea, and the MCU has done so much like outer space bullshit that you're like, wait a minute. We still have 75% of this globe that we haven't really tapped into. And Namor runs shit down there. You allow some cool scenes. You get, guys riding orcas and whatever else. But it's a cool power to have somebody dominate the sea. Like, obviously, they're doing it with Aquaman and in DC. But I love it that they finally tapped. It took them 30 movies, but I love that they tapped into Namor and the underwater. They don't call it Atlantis. They call it Tolokon or whatever, but I love the underwater shit.
Yeah, and Keefe has said this just a million times that his favorite level in Mario Brothers 3 is the entire third world.
Yep, I've used the frog suit and I'm flip-flapping around and I'm having a nice time. So yes, I like water stuff.
No, I love this character, and so you love his powers under the sea. I love his powers above the water and the way that he flies and he zips back and forth.
Yeah, it's cool.
I love it too. And then his introduction in the movie of, the rain lightning the helicopter, and then out of nowhere, he grabs it and just throws it back into the ocean. Poor Lake Bell.
I love, yes, how sick was, I don't know if that was FBI or CIA or whatever, but they were in the water and all of a sudden you don't see the death, but you just see like the cord, like where the guy was. And like, we can't find it. Like you see him and then like, you just see the cord and then like they disappear. That's what's cool. Like you can do shit like that in the water. Like it's almost like a horror movie element by doing stuff in there. Cause it's like stuff you can't see. And then all of a sudden it's up on you real quick. Like if anybody's ever, deep sea dive or dove or any shit.
I like his origin story as well. I like how he
Sure.
explains that he is the first mutant, or that he is a mutant in general.
Mm.
How he was brought into the ocean when his mother was still pregnant and she had taken that flower.
Yeah.
And he was born in the ocean, so he is both of air and sea. He is the first person of
Yes.
sea in there. And then he also has one of the funniest lines in the movie where he's like, and you can go down to the ocean where the water will crush you under its tons of power, or you can wear this suit. We have about 10 of them.
Yeah, right. He's actually kind of nice at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's what's great. And that's what's so good about both Black Panther movies is the villain aren't just like the lunatic villain. Like they're they're quote unquote villains, but they're not even villains in their own mind.
I don't even think he's a villain at all. I think
He
he's just
probably-
looking out for his kingdom. And by the end of the movie, he gets what he wants. He wanted to have a pact to have this trust with Wakanda, and now they're allies.
But it's kind of villainy shit if you're like, hey, I don't like all of the people that live on land and I want to wipe them all out. And if you
Keith,
don't,
you've been
help
saying
us-
that for years. You've been talking to fish and be like, I'm with you guys. I'm with you guys under the sea.
I never said that publicly. No, but so then he also goes and tells the Wakandans, he's like, and if you don't help us, we're going to start by wiping you out. So that is like,
And he also says that he has the biggest army in the world. And just from what we saw, that army wasn't giant. And then also the Wakandans that were on that ship, there's like 20 of them.
yeah. Yeah. It seemed like the numbers were low for both. I don't
Both of the most powerful nations, countries, whatever you want to call it in the world, kind of low. And then also, not to get off of like the board there, but also the funniest line of the entire movie, now that we brought up some funny quotes, is when one of his people were running towards the police and the cop says to the other cop, is that guy blue?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, he's blue. Yeah. He for sure
Stumped
is.
him. Yeah.
Well, and that's what's cool too about Namor is like he is like his people, but then he's even like stronger than, and like he can survive.
Strong as a Hulk is what they say.
He fucking
punches through it punches through M'Baku's chest.
By the way, so real quick, so like the other obviously connection is the vibranium, right? Like the vibranium, like Wakanda thought they were the only ones, and they have all these old stories. They're like, we're the only ones that have it. Turns out it's also down under the sea, and so Namor has that, and that's great. Now you brought up M'Baku. I thought, and again, this is where it comes, like when you're reading these different headlines as they're making the movies and all this stuff, it felt like his role going into it was going to be elevated. And then I don't think we really got that. Like I thought we were going to get way more M'Baku than we did. Every time he's on the screen, I like him and I'm all in. And the way it ends, it's like, Shuri's gone. So he's challenging to be like the head of the whole place there.
Yeah. He's challenging for the kingdom, not for the role of Black Panther.
Right. He's good with Shuri being Black Panther, but he wants to lead the kingdom. Did I miss something? I felt like there wasn't enough of him.
He's just a quiet supporter, which is something that nation needs. And I think that he knew that. He knew not to be as abrasive as he was in the first movie. And although I thought it was kind of a corny scene and they did it for the GIF, they did it for the meme of that weird arm wrestling thing when Shuri first became the Black Panther.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just him trying to show his support to her the entire movie as, maybe he made a pact with T'Challa at some point that he would do that.
We also get the debut of Riri Williams, and we're going to be getting an Ironheart 6-episode Disney Plus series late next year. Of course, the MIT student, and this is sort of like the center of this whole thing because she created something where they can find vibranium type of deal. And so Namor was like, get her, let's kill her. And Shuri's like, you're not going to kill her. And there's the whole thing. I really enjoyed Riri Williams outside of the suit. Putting her in like another Iron Man suit, I'm like, I don't know.
And I liked the look of the first one because it's that clunky Mark 1. The second suit looked like shit.
Yeah, I didn't love the suit. And I feel like we've seen the person in the suit enough, like the Iron Man, War Machine. Who else has done it? Like, I feel like just that sort of like visual, we've already kind of
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow even did it. Yeah, good point. Like, I don't know.
No, but not only that. So you have her, but then you also have the Midnight Angels. Like, does everyone just have a suit that can fly and shoot stuff?
Yeah,
are we all doing this?
What'd you think of the Midnight Angels suit?
I didn't love the look of it. I thought they were too bright.
Yeah, it looked kind of silly. It looked like I don't know. It was like the Arena Football League version of suits. It was like because I feel like Okoye is badass enough just as
Yeah.
Okoye. Like I don't know if
That's
she.
what I thought too. And I
Yeah.
thought that because she said at the beginning, I made these suits to give people like some extra strength, which I'm fine with that. But
Yeah.
if they can now just be Iron Man, if everyone is Iron Man, then
Yeah.
then there is no Iron Man.
True. My one issue I had too, and even though the movie was 2 hours and 40 minutes, it felt like Shuri was working on like the DNA stuff, and then like all of a sudden, boom, was Black Panther.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like that thing where there was like no build to, like, and all of a sudden she was, and she was able to handle it.
Yeah, I would almost rather prefer that she had already figured out how to grow the herb like a year ago, and she just didn't tell anybody, and she just always had it there, and she's been lying to everybody
Yeah, possible.
instead of
One,
just figuring it out quickly.
yeah, that's
Also, just very quickly on Riri Williams before
yeah.
we move past her. I thought that she was good comic relief. She might have been one of the funniest characters in the movie. And I do think that Marvel missed an opportunity to have some connective tissue here where when she went back to MIT at the end, someone should have said, "Hey, Riri, meet your new roommate, Zendaya."
Yes, Zendaya or Hobgoblin there. What's his name?
Or if she's just like in the hall walking by and you just see Ned walk by her, not
Yeah.
even say anything, just have him walk by her.
Yes.
That's enough.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pleasant surprise in this movie is we got Michael B. Jordan Killmonger as Shuri goes into the what is it called? The ancestral plane.
Yeah.
And she's hoping to see
Her mother.
her brother, her mother, her father, somebody. Nope. She sees Killmonger, who they reference several times in the movie.
Uh-oh. Am I by myself now? Where the H did Keefe go? Yeah, Killmonger's in this scene, and once again, much like the other three actors prior to this, an absolute scene stealer. And nope, now I'm gone. Hey, buddy. All right. Killmonger got him. Good point, Job. Hi. You back? We're live, Keefe.
What was that? Is that me? What's going on?
That's you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
you. That's you. It's your show, though.
Anyway, so I'll have to clean that up in post. But so you get Killmonger, and he basically is talking to Shuri like, all right, you got to do what's right. You gotta just, take care of business type of thing. But like that little pep talk and just getting him in the movie, I thought was huge. You had to have it. Wasn't sure if they were going to bring him back, if they were going to like save him, because like the way Black Panther 1 ends, you're like, yeah, he's probably dead. Right, like you're pretty sure he's dead, but it's a
well, I thought that he was going to be the Black Panther still, and I don't know if there's a way that they could have done this. But say if he like did an old switcheroo and he's like, "I'm back to real life now, and now you're here." I don't know, because I understand that you couldn't have had too much more of him. He is where he is, but he's so good. That character is so awesome, and much like I said with those three actresses earlier. Just an absolute scene stealer.
Yeah. I agree. So that was great. That boosted the movie up. I think it probably would have been more 4.5 stones if you didn't have the Killmonger scene. So I love that.
And that also lends into like, if she had just killed Namor, you fully understand she's kind of, teetering there at that point. Anyways, let her go over the edge.
Yeah, which side is she going to go to? Also, you got a surprising amount of Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, the Elaine Bennis character, maybe more of her than you even needed.
So and she didn't do a lot, though. She didn't do a lot.
She didn't do a ton. She wants, some information. And you find out that she used to be married to Everett Ross.
And she wants to bang him again.
She's
in that. Ride your bike, she said, or something of that nature.
Wants to ride him. I love Everett Ross's connection with the Wakandans, though. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty good stuff. But yeah, we got a lot of her. She's obviously going to be a part of the whole Thunderbolts thing. And so we'll see how that goes. They've been sort of like sprinkling her into some of the TV shows. Now they get her in the movies as well. So we'll see. We'd mentioned Nakia before. I thought she was great. And you saw just what a badass she is. And now they have a kid. What do you think is besides Riri Williams Ironheart, which we're getting the TV show for? When are we going to see any of these characters again? Because we have the Phase 5 map, we have some Phase 6 movies.
Yeah.
When do we see either Shuri or M'Baku or Nakia or Namor? Like, when do we see any of these characters ever again?
So we're definitely going to see most of these characters probably in both of those Avengers movies.
Yeah,
I've
Kang
seen some
Dynasty
stuff
and
of
Secret
like,
Wars.
oh, are they going to have the Thunderbolts led by her, go to Wakanda or something like that? But
Mhm.
if one of your leaders in the Thunderbolt, character-wise, is Bucky, Bucky owes a lot to that nation, and I don't
Yeah.
think Bucky would do that.
No, he wouldn't attack them, but maybe there is some sort of working with them. So I'm gonna rip through the planned movies.
Yes.
Tell me if you think any of the Black Panther characters will show up in any of these movies.
Okay.
Phase 5 in next February. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
No.
Probably not. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
No.
Definitely not. The Marvels.
I don't think so either.
I don't think Captain America: New World Order.
Yes. Yes.
Probably, right? That's
I
probably
think
the
Dora
best
Milaje
chance.
at least might pop up.
Yeah, that's a chance. So that's not until 2024. Then you get the Thunderbolts movie, which we mentioned, and then you get Blade, which again, I don't think so.
I don't think Blade's going to get made.
Blade
That
may
rhymes.
not. It's penciled in for September of 24, but I wouldn't hold
Lightly
my-
penciled.
Yeah,
Like a soft handwriting. Not even like a firm penciling.
No, an easy erase. And then phase 6, they have Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four, and then Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars, which no doubt they're going to be involved in. And then maybe you see Shuri is in Ironheart, the TV show. I would just maybe like you get a couple of those characters like just to mix in a little
Pop
bit.
up.
But I wonder
They
and
could
like
pop up. They could be in a Fantastic Four movie.
they could
Like some of those characters, because Black Panther was introduced in the Fantastic Four comics. So maybe that happens.
I wonder if you slide in do you think we'll get a Black Panther 3 at some point?
Yes, absolutely. This movie is making buco bucks right now. They're not gonna.
I agree.
This is such, especially right now where they don't have Iron Man, they don't have the original Captain America. Thor movies don't do well in theaters. This is one of their staples. This and Spider-Man. They're not going to let either of these characters go.
Do you think by Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars, Namor is officially a good guy?
A fish, a good
nailed
guy.
it. Nailed
Is that
it.
on purpose?
I'm a pro. The pro's pro.
I want more Namor immediately.
Yeah, you got to have more Namor, but I think like again, he's more hero than he is villain. And
Maybe none of the land people show up for a while, but he could be in Captain America: New World Order. I think that because the world is a lot of ocean. You mentioned that.
mostly ocean. The rest of
Maybe
it's
they
covered by
need to start to
City.
take a look at the ocean. What else is happening down there? And this is when you bring James Cameron in, because James Cameron loves the sea.
Finally. Do you think Namor will be in Avatar: The Way of Water?
Like a little pop up in the back.
Yeah, just like not like a lot of speaking role, but like in the film.
That might get me there. I'm not going to go otherwise. 3.5 hours, 4 hours. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on
When
with it.
James Cameron was like, "Yeah, go ahead and take a pee break if you need one." I'm like,
That would be
"We're
so
gonna
funny
miss
if
something?"
Disney went to him and they're like, look, we know that you said you hate Marvel movies and you would never direct one of these, but what if Namor, he's under the water, you are obsessed with going deep sea diving, wherever the fuck you want to do.
Yes.
Let's merge this.
Do you want another movie where Namor is attacking the Wakandans? Because the way he ended it was like, yeah, he might still want to do that, or like part of me is like, we've kind of seen that. So maybe you do it briefly.
Was that on purpose again? See?
Yeah. These are all the whole thing's written down. Just read
This guy's on fire right now.
But like we've seen it, right? Like I don't know if we need to see him like them attack.
Yeah, no, I don't need another one of those.
Yeah. What would you do if you had a bunch of vibranium?
Oh my god. Like I also love where they're like, what are we supposed to do? That thing is made of pure vibranium.
Yeah. That's so good.
And once again, he stabs Shuri right through the chest with it. And I like her, cutting through it and moving but she should have died. She should have died.
I agree. I mean, she's Black Panther at that point, so she's tough. But yeah, I agree with you. Another really good line though was when Namor's like, we have like vibranium, and then the mom's like, only we have vibranium, and Shuri's like, mother, he's covered in it. Like he's head to toe vibranium right now. Like the guy obviously he's got some sort of in with the vibranium people. So we gotta at least believe him on that one. So this was good. Again,
yeah,
right?
And I would say arguably the best of phase 4.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. It probably depends on how you feel about what No Way Home.
Exactly. So like I'm higher on Love and Thunder than most, and
Yep.
I'll take it out of the whole running, but No Way Home, this, WandaVision, Loki. Like, I think that Loki is the only one that possibly touches greatness, and everything else is like one tier below, but you could argue this up there with that.
I'll tell you what, one thing about phase 4, even if it wasn't as strong as some of the other phases, is the amount of new characters they introduced.
Mhm.
And so Namor is obviously a part of that as well. But you get like the Florence Pugh new Black Widow character, Red Guardian, you got Shang-Chi, you got Gore the God Butcher, even though that's done, Eternity. Like they threw a bunch of new characters at you, which I think they can kind of bring back and maybe even improve upon. So that's one takeaway from it. Yeah, pretty fitting like end to it, and we'll see where it goes. But I think it was tricky again as we hit into like a non-spoiler. It was a tricky situation to be in. And I think they did the best they could with it. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I actually think that the Ant-Man movie, Quantumania, I think that's gonna have more ties to the Phase 4 movies than this one did. This is gonna be I think when they're in the quantum realm, you're gonna see so much more with, like, the mystic stuff than,
yeah.
we've seen anywhere else.
And Kang the Conqueror, like getting him in this one, and then knowing, because I'm sure most people saw Loki, but not everybody did. And now you're really going to want to hit it out of the park in the film to sort of be like, all right, he's the next Thanos. He's the guy you got to worry about. And like, that'll
Yeah.
be the big bad for the next 3 years, basically. of
Absolutely,
movies.
and they need that. They absolutely need it
yeah.
because I do think that they are starting to lose some support.
Yeah, well, it's just, they had a stretch there where everything was minimum B plus, right? Like B plus to A plus. It was like everything was like in that.
Look at
wheelhouse.
Phase 3. Like, the worst movies in Phase 3 are what? Captain Marvel and maybe Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And
Mhm.
everything else in it is just, like, solid A. It's so good.
Yeah, no, and so they're a victim of their own success. It's like one of those things where they're just so good, and now you're comparing them all to those ones, and they're just not going to be able to really live up to it. But although King the Conqueror, I think gives you a shot in the dark
Mhm.
at it.
I agree.
Anything else on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever? No, all right, yeah, Wakanda Forever. Let us know what you guys think. You can tweet us at Dork Podcast. You can email us dorkpodcast@gmail.com for whatever your thoughts were on the 30th MCU film. All right, let's get to this.
Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb.
All right, Goo, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may also choose at this time to defend a goal?
I will receive.
Okay.
And after finishing Atlanta, I needed a new show to watch, and I picked up on Hulu the show Reboot
I've never heard of it. What is
with
this?
Keegan-Michael Key,
Oh.
Johnny Knoxville, and Judy Greer. It is a full house like show that is being picked up to be rebooted as a darker version of what it was. Through the pilot, it's pretty funny. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know how great it's going to be. I love Johnny Knoxville, but like, how good of an actor is he, type of thing.
Yeah.
And then Keegan-Michael Key plays himself, or not plays himself, but plays a very similar character often. I do love Judy Greer though.
So do I. Yeah, Judy Greer. Good.
Also,
pull there.
hey, don't want to get you too excited, but you see her boobies in the first episode.
No, you don't.
Oh yeah. Say goodbye to these, Michael. I wish someone said that in the show, but
That would have been pretty good. All right, I'll have to
Yeah.
watch that just for that. So here,
just the pilot.
just the pilot. Just pause it. So, a movie that, again, I don't know if qualifies for pick of the pod because it's not like you got to run out and see it, but it didn't really fit anywhere else in the program. But I watched The Good Nurse. So I'm a big Jessica Chastain fan.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was in this, and so is Eddie Redmayne. And it's a true story about a nurse who would like give patients wrong medicines so they would die.
That sounds bad.
A fucked up story. And then those two are obviously very good actors, and so like that part of it's on Netflix.
Mhm.
So if you need something, if you're desperate, check it
Actually,
out.
speaking of Netflix, and also in the news today, I think they're greenlighting a sequel to RRR, the Tollywood movie.
So that movie was like what, 4 hours? I didn't watch that. Was
It's
that good?
roughly 3 hours, yes,
Was that
but
good?
it has everything.
Yeah.
Go ahead, say something to me. It has it.
Frogs.
I didn't see him, but they're by the water a lot, so there must be somewhere.
Sharks,
Okay, stop throwing animals at me.
dragons.
No, it's a really fun movie.
All
You
right.
can split it up into like 6 or 7 parts, but no,
Yeah.
that's it's fucking crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
All right, I'll watch. Well, because I heard about it when it first came out, and then it was 3 hours, and I'm that classic asshole. Like 3 hour movie.
No,
No,
I know, and that's how I was too. But
And then
I
I'm
had
like,
a block one day where I had 3 hours open. I'm like, I should
Yeah.
probably watch this, I guess.
And then I'm like, oh, there's a 10-part, hour long each documentary. Like, I'll watch that. You're like,
Yeah.
you fucking moron.
If
Like,
things are broken up, it's easier.
it is because you're like, I'll do one more. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
treat myself to one more episode.
Might as well.
Like, piece of shit. So that's that. Next week we're planning on doing Tales of the Jedi, I believe, is what we have locked in. That was really good shorts on Disney Plus. And then in 2 weeks, Andor, which is picking up. It was pretty boring to me the first 2 episodes. I'm not all the way caught up. I think I've seen maybe 8 of the episodes. Kind of great. So we're gonna do Andor in 2 weeks. I assume you guys just did Black Panther this week.
We
What do you guys
just did Black Panther. Just
Yeah,
very
come on.
quickly on Andor. I am through 1 episode and it's so long and so boring, but I know that I need to get back into it.
Yeah.
And did you hear too that Disney is they're gonna play the first 2 episodes on ABC on Thanksgiving?
Which is weird to me because the first 2 episodes to this point are the worst 2 episodes.
That's what
So,
I'm
like,
reading too. It's like,
I
oh,
don't
you want to show everyone to go and watch this, and you're gonna give them these?
I don't think it's gonna push people there because if I only watched the first 2, I probably would have bailed. By the 3rd one, I was like, all right, this is getting better. And then I took a long pause from it, and then everybody's telling me, like, oh, wait till you blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's been pretty good. Apparently, like the last couple episodes are crazy, and so everyone's going nuts about the show. So, which by the way is so classic Star Wars where they could fuck up a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi
Yeah.
and Boba Fett, and yet they have an amazing show about Cassian Andor. You're like, all right, whatever.
No better time to watch a boring show than when you're all sleepy on Thanksgiving.
That's right. Take it. Patriots play Thanksgiving night, so
I
mean,
know. The
that's
Vikings.
kind of
Fucking
what
people
yeah,
eaters.
that's
Yeah,
what
so we did Black Panther this past week.
Good.
We did a quick news dump for today. And then at the end of this week, we're going to answer our 21 Black Panther questions because I just can't stop talking about this movie. I got to keep on going.
good
But
movie.
next week for the holiday week, we've seen a bunch of movies over the past month. Big old smorgasbord.
Very good. Those are always good. At Mac and Goo Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, and Mac and Goo Movie Club is the easiest way to search for it, I believe, right?
Yes.
On Apple Pods or wherever else you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel here, Dork Podcast, where every Monday night we have new episodes, so you can watch them there. And you can also send in your should I have bought this to dorkpodcast@gmail.com. Davey will be back next week.
We could have done a full episode of me just pointing at things behind me. Should I have bought this, Keefe?
We got some good stuff. I would say yes to most of that. Was that Star-Lord's mask?
Yes.
Star-Lord action figure.
That's a
Funko
statue.
Pop Ninja Turtles. Captain America up there. I see a Iron Man helmet. What is your most prized possession?
Most prized possession. Oh,
If you got to bring in one thing to a show and tell, like an adult show and tell, what would it be?
well, I mean, I got a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff here, but how about this 18-inch
Oh, look at that. Donatello.
motherfucker, Donatello? My least favorite of the turtles, but
Well,
got it on a fucking discount.
what's your turtle power ranking?
Oh, Raphael's number 1.
Yep, obviously.
Michelangelo, Leonardo, Donatello.
I think Michelangelo is kind of lame. I got Michelangelo 4th.
You don't like nunchucks?
No, not compared to a sword.
Well, if we're looking at weapons, yes, swords are dope, but he's a vanilla ice cream. Which,
Yeah, he is.
When I say that, though, vanilla ice cream's delicious.
I love vanilla ice cream. And
I do too.
Michelangelo's too kind of like surfer bro for me. Like Raphael is a clear-cut 1 for everybody. And then I might go Leo because of the sword. That's kind of a tiebreaker. Donatello, smart guy. He can type you up. He can, probably really good at Microsoft Excel. And then I would probably go Michelangelo last. Very too simple for me. Pizza and surf or pizza dude. Like we all
I
like
like
pizza.
pizza.
We all like pizza, buddy. You
Yeah.
can calm down with it. All right. Any final thoughts? Any final words?
No, that's all.
All right. That'll probably do it for us as well. At Dork Podcast, let us know what you thought about the movie. We'll talk to you next week.